What's up, everybody? We are back in action here at Odd Chopper Golf, which means there's more golf right on the horizon. The Mexico Open. We
Yes.
would have been filming this just a little earlier. Honestly, took me 10 minutes to discuss how to say the course name. We're going to attempt to do that in a little bit, but the important thing is you guys are here watching us break down. Let's find some winners, find some value. I'm Ben Rasa, joined by the man himself, Eytan Shander. Sir, we're rolling now. NFL's in
We
the
are.
here. Golf is taking over and this field is extra egregious. I can't wait to talk about this. How are you feeling?
I'm okay. I'm okay. I
Okay.
would have been better if Luke List completed
I was
that
rooting for you.
wonderful 4-run day. But look, I can't be upset. He's a buck 25 to 1 for a reason coming in there. It was actually some pretty good golf, and I really enjoyed watching it day in and day out these last 4 days. Tiger Woods' withdrawal aside, I thought it was just insane to see Sunday play out. Patrick Cantlay is now beatable, and that's something we need to talk about because I had that feeling going in like, you can't catch Cantlay. And shame on you and I both for docking and decking Hideki Matsuyama, sorry, for what happened there, man. I don't know, man. That was insane how that thing ended.
Nobody, when I've said this
Channeled
before,
my Yankees, Matsui, sorry.
yeah, when Decky gets going, he might be like when he's truly in that zone. I'm not sure, especially at a hard course. I'm not sure there's anyone who can play like that. It's really unbelievable. Extremely useful for me. I loved Hideki last week. We talked about this on the show and we mentioned him, but I really didn't get to as much as I wanted in the betting side. DFS, I was
Yeah.
really heavy on him. The betting side, I had some exposure here and there, but nothing groundbreaking. But overall, one of my best weeks of the year. I was really, really happy with everything. One shocker, obviously, was Justin Thomas. Not only did he not compete, he couldn't make a 12-man cut, it felt like, just didn't have it. And that was very surprising given where he was positioned.
Yeah, we talked about him a little bit in the
Yeah,
beginning of the show and why I wanted to stay away from him only because of the struggles on POA. But you're right. I mean, my God, that was just
just didn't
it
have it.
felt like he regressed. It felt like seriously regressed from that moment that we saw him just being competitive right through Pebble.
It's true. But again, that's the beauty of golf. Right off the bat,
You're in,
though,
you're out.
we're going to get into these numbers. We're going to get into this course right now. If you're new to this channel and you're saying, hey, I love Odd Chopper, I didn't even know you had Odd Chopper Golf. This is your home for all golf betting. Like, please subscribe, build this channel. We're building quickly. We want you guys along for the ride. You're going to see a lot of content here over this stretch, from shorts to videos. Make sure you don't miss any of it. Let's talk about, here we go. Are you ready? Vedanta Vallarta. I took like
Nice.
7 years of Spanish just to be able to do that.
Nice. You don't even need the second part. You can just get away with saying Vidanta and look at you flexing for
Look
the
at that.
golf
I'm going
community
for it
here.
all. I'm
Right.
taking that mentality this week. We need it.
Pat Mayo would have called you out. Wait a second, Ben. You didn't
Hey,
say the second part.
no, we're going for it. It's all about this course and what we need. Because before we give golfers, I like to say skill sets. What do you picture? Now, John Rahm and Tony Finau winning, I don't think gives us a ton of insight because they're
Sure.
amazing players. But I do think I would like my golfers to be able to swing that driver and be aggressive off the tee. I think that's a recipe for success here. Is there anything from par 5 scoring to birdie percentage, anything like that that stuck out for you?
Yeah, this is really going to be, I think, the easiest. Doesn't mean it's going to be the most profitable, but I feel like this is going to be the easiest show we do on tour all year, outside of maybe like, a two-man in New Orleans or something. But this is all about, and the beauty of it is, it's all about bombing the ball. It's all
Yes.
about distance. And it doesn't always come or doesn't need to necessarily always come off the tee. You better be able to hit some long irons here, too. It's a long course meant for that, but it's forgiving. That's, I think, the best part, too, is we just came from a course, Ben, the Kikuyu, right? Kikuyu grass, that rough, right? When it's just, it's impossible to say and it's impossible to get out of. Here at Vedanta, you can miss, you can spray, you can basically just, and your ball's not going to be penalized nearly as much. There's still some water here or there, but I love the fact that you can target a guy or two that just bombs the ball starting from the tee. and not have to worry about accuracy off the tee. So to your point, or question, I should say, it's not so much what I'm focusing on. It's what I normally would look at as a hindrance or deterrent and say, yeah, I got a guy who can hit the ball really far, but I'm worried about his accuracy off the tee. Not here, not at the Mexico Open.
It's hard to argue with it. You can get away with it. You see the driving distance metrics are through the roof here. You are rewarded for distance. Now, can you be someone that doesn't hit it far, like a Griot or a Detry, and get away with it? Of course. But you're going to be at a disadvantage. You better have your long irons tuned up. These guys are going to dismantle this course. The par five scoring is key. You've got 4 opportunities to really, really take apart those holes. You have to score. If you look at Finau and you look at Rahm, they both decimated the par fives. I don't see that changing. But what I know it was an elevated event. We're talking about Hideki at like 90 to 1, and now Tony Finau's 7 to 1.
Insane. I can't touch
Tony,
that number, Ben.
no,
I'm
I
sorry.
can't either. And he could win,
He
obviously.
could. He won last year.
There's no doubt. I don't want to gloss over the fact that if you want a guy with the most win equity, Tony Finau is your guy, and I don't think it's a terrible price, but I'm going to try to beat him with some of these numbers. And the thing I do like about this, if you don't bet Finau, you're honestly getting a reasonable number on almost everybody else in the sense that you immediately jump almost into the 20s. So the first page of the board is up. Again, you want to shop it. What's your first click? Where are you drawn at the top?
See, I love that you put this on me,
Yeah.
even though you know damn well you're going to take Griot at 25 to 1. So
Maybe.
let's just stop the insanity here
Maybe.
and let's just take the wool back up over everybody's eyes. My guy is actually lower than Griot that I'm going to start with. So why don't you, although I will say that if you don't want to take Tony Finau and you want a guy at the top, the tippy top, I have no problem with taking Højgaard, by the way. Assuming you can shop him. I think he's designed to play this too. I still think we can get a better number with a better guy overall. So why don't you take Griot off the board and then I'll go.
So I'm going to put the actual winner. I'm going to throw a curveball for you.
Wow.
There is another guy. Listen, I like Griot. I'll probably have a lot in the DFS side of the thing.
Okay.
Taylor Pendrith is a guy that I absolutely love in this spot. I love this spot for Taylor Pendrith. 25 to 1, great off the tee. This is the exact thing we just talked about. He can go low. There's no doubt about it. Last time we saw him, he was 9th at Farmers, and he gained across the board in all 4 categories. He's starting to put it together. He was 10th at Sony. He's been close on tour. There's no doubt this guy can win a PGA Tour event, and this is the exact type of event I picture him. Where was his best finish ever? Rocket Mortgage. He came in 2nd. Yep. Rocket Mortgage is a joke. No offense. Like, you got to score. You got to take apart the par fives. Taylor Pendrith, if we get the best version of him, can absolutely win. And at 25 to 1, he's my first click this week.
I don't hate that by any means. You mentioned Torrey, and that's I think a good comp too for the distance and the ability to drive the ball. Less forgiving, so you start to open up a little bit more, I guess, wider fairways here for Pendrith to hit into. And we've just seen this swing, this type of, if it's Cali and then down to Mexico, we've seen the Canadians be able to respond to drive, to long, to distance. And look, Pendrith at 25 to 1, you add another name or two in here, and I don't know what that ultimately does to change odds, but at 25 to 1 with this field, I definitely see where you're going here. And he fits. That's another big part of this, is that Pendrith fits. So I like that.
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously, your point's well taken. Listen, seeing Taylor Pendrith at 25 to 1 is a little weird, but you have to take the field. You know, if Rory and Scheffler and JT were here, Taylor Pendrith would be 50 to 1. But the chances that one of those other guys don't win would be much lower. So it's that give and take. How far down is this mystery man for you? Are we
2
going
guys? Okay. That's all. I'm actually going to double up if I can, because I think one guy is great to play. Another guy is going to be a top 20 for me, but I'm probably debating sprinkling on him to win outright. Let's start with Ryan Fox. I mean, again, I think at 35 to 1, this is the prototypical golfer that you want to target in this mid-range, which is somebody who can just obliterate the golf ball. And if he is losing strokes off the tee, it's due to the accuracy. It's due to the fact that he's just not able to really pull out of that. Distance is not a problem for Ryan Fox. We just saw this too Look, it wasn't the best showing at the Waste Management by any means, but I think one of the biggest and maybe best signs from that is how well he did on the greens. And that's something
Yeah.
that can correlate slide over. That's another thing we didn't really talk about at the beginning is if you get me a guy who's just moderately hot with the putter and can blast the golf ball on multiple stages, driver, long irons, I think a guy like Ryan Fox at 35 to 1 has a lot of appeal.
Yeah, I mean, I always say that's the Cam Champ formula. Cam Champ, when he wins and he wins randomly, he bombs it and then he makes all like you don't have to do
Yeah.
much anything if you bomb it and make all your 10 footers. That'll work pretty much anywhere. Ryan Fox certainly, we've seen him compete against the best. The thing we don't know about him is how is he going to do in these type of events? Because every time we seem to see him, elevated event, Masters, Open, type of fields, and he comes in like 22nd,
He
and that's
gets
very
crushed.
good.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
Or he does that, which is a win for him to come in the
Yeah,
top
that's what
20.
I mean. So it's
Yeah.
like that's going to be a fascinating guy. I thought you might go to Patrick Rogers. Not
I
gonna lie.
am. I
Oh,
am. And I was exactly
well,
going to say that. But here's the thing, and I'll put it back on you. Patrick Rogers comes in struggling. And I think you're getting, as crazy as this sounds, you're getting a buy low spot in this field for Patrick Rogers with course history of success at Vedanta. And I think that's something that I would definitely angle on. He is familiar with this course. He has been successful at this event at the very least. And at 35 to 1, I think you're getting more of a price of what you just saw recently, which I don't think correlates as much to the success that he's had here.
this is a great range. I know we're loading up on this range, but honestly, my card looks really weird this week. I have like a ton of guys in these little ranges, and then I have
Yeah.
nobody for quite a while because you mentioned Patrick Rogers, and I'm just going to give a shout out to EVR right next to him. He won
There
in
you go.
Mexico during the swing season. He won on Paspalum. He just did this, and he's another guy that really likes the off the tee metrics. So you've got 3 or 4 guys from 25 to 40 to 1 that I think you can really look to, whether you go across the board and wheel them. You see the top 10, top 5 prices there for a guy like Rogers, or just play it straight up. I absolutely see it. And I do think the winner's coming from whoever's on the screen right now. As we scroll down,
Real quick, can I
oh,
add
please.
one more in this range here?
Oh, yeah, fire them up.
And I'm right there with you. I have one guy left that's 60 to 1, and I didn't touch anything longer than that. So my card is right here in the meat. 4 guys.
Yep.
I've given you 2 so far. The third, and I'm a little confused, and maybe you can walk me through this because Jake Knapp has been playing pretty good golf. And he also can blast the ball off the tee. I know he struggled at the Waste Management as far as losing some strokes off the tee, but we're talking about a completely different scenario here where you will get punished for that. At 40 to 1, if we're talking about these guys in a 35 to 1 range, Ben, I think it's hard to ignore a guy who has the skill set and fit here and Jake Knapp at 40 to 1. Somebody that I'm definitely going to tempt with the top 20 if I can get that plus money range. But I'm also going to put a little sprinkle on him at 40 to 1.
Yeah, so that's to me one of those that's the complete mysteries. Like Jake Knapp a couple weeks ago had basically no sample on tour, hadn't done much. He comes out of nowhere at Farmers and is just dialed in. I mean,
Yep.
he started 2024 70th at Sony, miscut at Amex. Then he comes in 3rd at Farmers and 28th at Waste Management. I mean, that's serious business. So you might be saying this guy is finding it on the fly, or there is obviously the other side of it that he'll never be 40 to 1 in an event ever again. He's going to be 100 to 1, and that was the tippy top. We just don't know. I get that. I don't know much about him, I'll be honest. So
Me
that's
neither.
fine. Yeah, and I don't think you need to. Honestly, you can look at the form and say, okay, this is a guy that I want to buy blindly. I think he's got something. I'm doing that not to the same extent with Doug Gim. That's my last like big outright for the week in terms of a guy that I think has some real potential. Doug Gim is 50 to 1, that same range. I've seen it with him. I know that he has the talent to win on tour. And he's following the blueprint that I think both of us are kind of subliminally or subconsciously getting to, which is they certainly have the off the tee game and they're playing well. 13th at Farmers, 12th at Waste Management. He gained strokes across the board in both events. That's huge for a guy like Doug Gim who can't putt at all. He's going to win on tour. I really believe that. And when he wins, I think we're going to look back and say, It was a birdie fest and a weak field. Check, check. Mexico Open checks all these boxes.
Boy, outside of Grillo, I don't know if there's a golfer that wins that you would be happier
That would
without
really
them.
it would be Bez, second,
Yeah,
no doubt.
okay, you're right. But I thought
Bez.
maybe there was some resentment harbored from Bez after losing to the amateur, and you thought to yourself, "You bastard, you
Yeah, I mean,
screwed
that's just
me."
I
And
resent myself for being choosing this life. I yeah, Bez, Doug Gim,
okay,
trying to think who else. Brandon
there's one
Harkin.
guy left for me, and
Okay,
I don't know. I don't think you're going to like this, and this is how
probably
you
not.
truly are, right. But look, I'm not going to go 100 to 1. And by the way, you mentioned Cam. You're staying away from him this week, correct?
Cam Champ?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. Again, do I see why people might wanna go there? Yes, but we rattled off 4 or 5 guys in a neighboring odds range that to me are just significantly more in form and ready to go.
Yeah, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. Keep going down just a little bit more for me, and let's stop if we
Roll
can. Now he's at 55 to 1. I got him at 60 to 1 at MGM.
Johnny Vegas.
So no, no, it's actually a guy who's been playing really well. And I don't think look, the odds here for Maverick McNeely at 60 to 1, Ben. And look at your face. I knew you wouldn't like that, right? But here's the thing. Here's the thing. He's 60 to 1 in a weak field that plays exactly to his strengths. And to be honest with you, he's playing some pretty good golf. He comes off a T6 at Waste and then even Pebble and Farmers, where he's just breaking that top 40 in that range there. The golf is there, the distance is there, the striking is there. I think the biggest thing is playing against better golfers, playing on tougher tees where you actually have to be a little more accurate. I think if you're looking at somebody in that 60 to 1 range, this is a guy who accuracy is not going to hurt him. And he's playing fine, maybe not great golf, but he's playing fine golf. He played really good golf at the Waste Management, and that is a tough place to play, and that is a tough field to go against. So this is definitely a guy that I'm excited about this week at 60 to 1.
Interesting. It's funny because this is why golf is fascinating to me, for people watching, and I'm sure a lot of you were golf fanatics. It wasn't that long ago where Maverick McNeely was the number 1 guy of he's about to win.
Yep.
He's gonna win immediately. He's been coming in second. He's been coming in fourth. He's gonna win. He's 22 to 1, and I'm still betting him. And then he lost it. And now it's like old news. I mean, who the hell's talking about Maverick McNeely that's sixth at Waste Management? That broke a stretch dating back to Sony, not this year's Sony, last year's Sony of a top 10. He had done absolutely nothing in 2023. Now we know this guy can play. If you look, one thing that I think is a little interesting, doesn't mean it'll translate, but he played Mexico Open last year and he did not play well, but he
No.
clearly liked the greens. He seemed to handle the pass palm. And when Maverick's at his best, he's really, really deadly with the putter. So he needs to be better with the ball striking. But one question he already answered, he can putt on these surfaces. He gained nearly 5 strokes with the short game.
Yeah, and look, don't slight those Dubai finishes either. All right, I don't want you to take away on that Euro tour
That's fair.
that T14 that he had to start the year. I think you're right though. He gained over 1.5 strokes putting at the Waste Management, and if you combine that with the distance, and look, off the tee was just absurd, like just awful for him. But oh no, that's Fox. I'm sorry. I thought to myself, like, that's crazy. That doesn't make any sense. That's Fox I'm talking about. But Maverick right now, the difference that you're talking about being able to be comfortable on the green when he's not putting well, he's there at the bottom. The distance is not going to be a problem. And the fact that you don't need to be as accurate, he's just a little appealing. And by the way, we can get all of these guys. Fox even money top 30, Gim plus 110 top 30, Knapp plus 110 top 30, McNeely 130 plus 130 top 30. So even if you stretch this out to a top 30 range in this field, which again should be highly gettable for all of these guys we mentioned, you can start to stagger or ladder, if you will, some plays.
No doubt about it. And I'm definitely going to look to do that. I might attack some of the matchups. It's honestly a perfect time. We've mentioned it. We had people, and I love seeing this. I know you do too, in our Discord saying,
Yeah.
hey, thanks for talking about Decky. I was able to put Decky on the card and just seeing some of the success in there. It's awesome. The thing about golf that's amazing, it's not just, hey, we put in our bets right now and we're done. We're betting on Friday. We're betting live. You're hitting end around leaders. If you want that and you want the tools and you want the access, come join us. If you have not thought about signing up for Odd Shopper Premium and getting those picks and being in part of the Discord, and more importantly, learning via these tools about how to uncover edges, identify value across the board in sports, see us. The link is below. Come on in for a week. Test it out for a week before the big tournaments. And it's not just golf, you get every sport. And see if it improves your process. If it doesn't, you learned a little more about Odd Shopper. If it does, boom, you've created a ton of value for yourself. Again, that link is below. And just see it. We really believe in it. I couldn't be more proud to push those tools because they help me every day in my process. And I need all the help I can get. There's no doubt about it with some of these greasy college basketball games. Um,
I
I
know.
bet
You want
Incarnate
speaking of
Word.
greasy.
I
Sorry?
bet Incarnate Word last night. And
And they
not
had
only
a
did
brawl.
they blow a lead with 9 seconds left, they started an actual melee in the handshake line. I'm not exaggerating, a melee. So
Oh,
that is
boy.
something that not even the tools can help us, but they can try.
You
Let's
want something really greasy on the way out
please,
here?
please. That's what I absolutely want because I want to talk about some of these guys, at least to give them a mention. I'm not saying they're on my card. In fact, they're not right now, but we've seen, I mean, every week, nearly 100 to 1 plus guy win. So it would be stupid not to just ignore the bottom. Is there anyone that you even want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, I do, but I have to see where he actually is from a line because I don't think he's 100 to 1 by any means. But how
100.
about Alexander Bjork?
Oh, okay. So
130 to 1. I think he's best played. If you want, I think attackable value, if I can use that phrase here. And this is not a market that I normally play or suggest playing, but it's
150.
it's quasi fade. It's on DK. It's a quasi fade of Højgaard. But Bjork at plus 550 to be the top Scandinavian is not a bad play. I know, but I'm looking around in that
There's no
thing,
Norin.
nationality props.
So there's no Norin. That helps.
Thank you. And look, he's basically the same with Vincent Norman. If I lose to Henrik Norlander because the guy shoots a 62, then that's fine, right?
That's not
I
going to
will
happen.
concede that. But you're basically getting him plus 550 to beat Olesen and Højgaard, which I think is doable at this course.
So you probably actually don't know this. You said earlier in the show, uh, guys that I would love to see win. And Bjork doesn't count because he hasn't been over here. But in Europe, there may not be a golfer that I have bet more in my life than
Nice.
Alexander Bjork.
Nice.
I love this guy. Big fan, excited to see him over here. Now we've seen time and time again, it can go one of two ways. You can come over and it's, man, this is not the DP World Tour, or you can go EVR or Higo or even Detry and really acclimate yourself nicely and show that you can play over here. And I think Bjork right now is somewhat in the middle. He was 11th at Amex. He's starting to get some reps. We still haven't seen a lot from him. He's got to improve off the tee. You've mentioned basically, 5 to 10 golfers, and almost everyone you mentioned was strong off the tee.
Yeah.
Alexander Bjork is not that. So he needs to pick that up because his irons are good, and at times he's a very good putter. At times he's not, but
And he's
I hear you.
130 to 1 for a reason.
Okay. Okay. That is a name. You almost make me want to shout out my favorite Finnish golfer, Välimäki, who is here, and he's 100 to 1.
Wow.
Um, eh, almost
Watch him
9 to 1
first
for a
round lead
top
or something
10.
crazy.
Almost 9 to 1 for a top 10. If you don't know this guy, this is someone, again, I give you a little DFS alpha. I think you can put him on some teams. He gained 5.5 strokes at Waste Management. He made the cut at Farmers. He made the cut at Waste Management. This guy can play. Is he ready to make the jump and win a PGA Tour event? I would say no. Is he ready to find himself on the first page of a leaderboard? 9 to 1, basically. That's a name. That's the
I
last
like
name
it.
I'll throw out. That's a little behind the scenes of where I may be going. Last thing for me, and it's one of the most important things. I know we talked about a lot of names and shopping. If you have Bet365 in your state, don't don't overlook being able to get on that book. It's here for you, and not only can you get on that book, you can get 150 in bonus bets just by being in the following states: Arizona, Indiana, New Jersey and Colorado, Virginia, Ohio, Kentucky, Louisiana, and Iowa. If I said your state, that means $150 in bonus bets is yours just for betting $5, win or lose. Take one of these random golfers, bet a couple bucks on them, and have some fun. And no win or lose, you're getting those bonus bets. You do have to be 21 plus, 18 in Kentucky. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. But man, we did some things today. I'm not going to say we did some good things, but I'm also not going to say we did some bad things. We did some things, though.
It's not the easiest tournament by all means if you want to stray away from guys who just blast the ball. So I thought we did moderately well. How about that?
I'm pretty happy with it. Again, I know this isn't the most exciting card in the world, but sometimes I'm a big advocate of don't let the board lead you to the plays, in the sense that, like, oh, I have to have a long shot. Not if there's no value, or oh, I can't take a favorite. You can if there is value. Just really use the numbers independently. And if you see, wow, there are 4 guys at 35 to 1, and I think every one of them should be 20 to 1, you should put those guys on the card. And for me this week, that's a range I feel very confident in.
I agree wholeheartedly, man. It should be a fun one for sure. And there's nothing wrong with seeing guys obliterate a golf ball.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be greasy. Someone random probably will win, and then we will lament it next week. But again, I can't thank people enough for hanging out with us. We're going to have some fun here at Odd Chopper Golf, and most importantly, try to pick some winners each and every week. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that like button on the way out. Last thing, you have questions. You missed something. We didn't mention a guy. Just tweet us. We're both available at JazzRazDFS, at Shander Bets for Eytan. We will be there. We'll be hanging out, and you'll find us in Discord when you sign up. Final thoughts, my friend? Or are we good to go?
Good to go. Appreciate everybody rolling again, and we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Good luck.